Hello everyone, time to talk money. So not too long ago, I talked about how much I spent on my 6-foot Artist Alley display, which I have up here. And I do think it's a really great way to be a bit more realistic with the costs that you might have when going into this type of business. So in this video, I wanted to talk about how much I spent for my entire 10x10 Artist Alley display. Just a quick disclaimer, you do not need to spend this much money in one go. It took me years to invest this much and more into my display. And even then, I still don't think that everyone needs to spend this much. If you are starting out, I advise that you go with something that you already own or look into secondhand and potentially borrowing items from other artists. Also, since this event does provide tables and chairs, I will not include it in the cost for this display. Hello, it is day one and resuming filming now because I didn't have time yesterday. So starting with the tablecloth, as you can see, I do have 2 custom tablecloths. I waited a long time before I considered investing in these pieces, mostly because I knew I would want to rebrand over time. And it's expensive. How much did I pay for it? For 2 custom full tablecloths, I spent $520. I did get them from the same place where I got my banner. I really like the quality of it. I do understand why it costs that much because it is machine washable. I will say this isn't the best look for it because, as you can see, since I am using a counter, it is 1 foot higher than a regular 6-foot table. So of course it looks a little weird, but that's also on me for not putting design up here. But how would I know? I never have a counter. But on a regular 6-foot table, it will look like this. I know before, if you have seen my 6-foot table display cost video, I used to use a regular pink and then just continuously updated my table runner, which is a bit more affordable. In your case, if you want a more affordable option and not shell out that much money because you don't know if you want to continue doing Artist Alley, I would suggest even DIYing one. If you have a regular table runner, you could just heat press your branding on it. You do not need to spend a lot of money. This will probably be a reoccurring theme, but try to DIY when you can or find more affordable options before shelling out a lot of money. Next one is my banner. You can see up there. That one is a 10x1 banner, so it is about the same length and height as my previous banner. I like a 10x1 because I'm able to essentially fold it down if I have a smaller display. As you've seen with some of my 6-foot displays or my 8-foot displays, I'm able to fold it, which is why I usually have my logo and I try to have it fit around 4 feet and then everything else is just excess. So then if I have a 10-foot display, fold it up or unfold it. And then if it's a smaller display, fold it up and no problem. I got it from the same studio as the tablecloth and the backdrop. I spent this much for that banner. Also, if you are curious about how much I spent for an 8-foot table display, since I know I have done one on a 6-foot display and now a 10-foot display, well, let me know. I can do that. Also, before going further into the video, the reason why I am vending at a 10x10 booth is because I'm currently vending at TwitchCon. If you're new here, hi, I'm Macy and I'm the artist and designer behind Mualcaina, a small business focused on kawaii merch. I've been vending for about 4 years now and have done over 65 events. If you like small business content, Artist Alley vlogs, and everything in between, consider subscribing. I also do stream weekly, which is why I'm here at TwitchCon. So if you don't want to miss any of my future streams, also consider following me on Twitch down below. And if you're curious to see how this event went for me as a mostly anime artist, consider watching the vlog that is up here. So for the skeleton of my display, I'm currently using grid cubes. Let's get a little bit closer. So this one is a better example of the types of grid cubes that I use. So these are 12x12 grid cubes, 12 inches by 12 inches. So I like to use a mix of wire grids as well as pink grids. I did have to buy them separately. So for the wire and pink grids, I bought them both on Amazon and they cost $112.97. I do explain a little bit further in the 6-foot display video, but big advocate of mixing them up because the other option is to purchase vinyl so that the colors match your brand. But in my case, as long as it's pink, I think it fits, so I'm fine. Similarly, also one of the reasons as to why I use wire cubes is because I also use rigid boards to display my pins. I do have my phone grips up here, and this is one example of a rigid board, and the other example is with my enamel pins right here. I'll take one down. This rigid board is also 12x12. I got this from Got Print, and I got the ones with rounded corners. I did use these clear command hooks from Amazon to hang them up. So then and now they hang perfectly. I did buy 5 of them, obviously with 4 pin boards and then 1 of them for the phone grip. And through Got Print, I spent $115. Going back to the car magnets, I do use these magnetic whiteboard. I purchased 2 of them through the Container Store, and I really like them because they're flat, because my old one was a bit more curved, so then it was a little funky, at least when trying to lean it onto my display. But in this case, and with those command strips that I got from Amazon, attached it to one of the pink grids, it stayed up and pretty secure, as long as no one like yanks it, which is very unlikely unless you got a troublesome customer, but that doesn't really happen. For each of them, I spent $28, so in total, $56. For my notebooks, I used this removable wire grid, but I purchased one of these. This came in a pack, and I got it from Amazon for this price, and I don't really use it very often unless I have notebooks. And since I did have that one collab with Vogue Grace, I did order some sticker books through them as well as leatherette notebooks, so they're being sold here. For the little signage for fandoms, so people know which fandoms I have, I use these acrylic signage. I believe these came in a pack, got it from Amazon. They're all longer pieces, but I did shorten it so then it's more stable, because the longer it was, the more likely it was to fall over. Another example of where I use the acrylic signage is for signage. Also in that same wire grid from earlier, not wire grid, what is it? The wire basket. To hold these catalogs, I use this like wire book holder. And I thought this was better. Before I did used to use that basket, but I realized that with these, they tend to fall over more frequently because of how tall it is. So I ended up using this, added it to the wire, put my catalogs, they're good to go. To hold some of my Ita bags, I do use these tiny Velcro zip ties. Again, details are in my previous video, but just wanted to point these out since they are a better alternative and more sustainable alternative to one-time use zip ties, and they're currently attached to the grids with them. Also for my sweaters, I do use these mini binder clips, large binder clips. Honestly, I just have them at home. I just have so many, so I'm using it. I don't really know how much they cost, honestly. So for my stickers, actually, I use those reusable command adhesives. I got them in a pack from Amazon. Is it gonna load? Yeah, so they came in a pack of like little squares. I don't remember, but I'll have it listed up here. This is probably my most unorganized video, but we're rolling with the punches here. I don't have that much time to film, to be honest. And all of the stickers are stuck on here that way. The only reason why I don't actually stick them on is because I do not want to have to use a new grid just to have a new display, because otherwise I do like the option of being able to move them around. If I run out of a sticker, discontinue a sticker, I don't need to worry about throwing one away. I feel like that is such a waste. I have seen other people use Velcros, like maybe they have some kind of Velcro on it. In my case, it doesn't make sense because it's not like I have little squares or whatnot to organize them. Like they're all just in a collage, so it doesn't really make sense for me to do that. Let's move on to the other side. So here I do have my mirror. Got it from Amazon. It is a 12 by 12 parking mirror. I actually ended up getting a new one because this one is a bit damaged, as indicated on this bunny that we're ignoring. I'm not the biggest fan of how this has a curve, and this makes sense when you're outside because this is usually meant for use outdoors in driveways, so then cars know if there's another car coming and they can't see them in their blind spot. But in my case, I'm indoors most of the time. I don't need to worry about some kind of sunlight hitting it. I feel like for most people, it's no problem. So I ended up buying a new one that just doesn't have this, so it's just that part. But I didn't have time to decorate it and put all of these decals on it. I did use a Cricut machine that I very rarely use to make the decals. And for the stickers, I would say it's about $5 worth of stickers. I didn't show you the side of the display, but this is how it looks. Technically, I should have some type of banner on this side, but I forgot to bring it. But it's okay, I do need to attach one of my die cut signs up here so at least people can see it. But I feel like I'll be fine since I have this whole banner, and for people who are potentially trying to find me, it's very obvious. As mentioned earlier, I do have my banners. Let's see if I can go inside. It's a little cramped here because I have a lot of stuff. So as I mentioned, I have two banners. This is my 8x8 banner, and then on this side is my 10x8 banner. Got them from the same place that I got the tablecloths. I did want both types of banners because I have events where I would have a 10x8 wall behind me, and this gives me the option to use that. Since I also do a lot of 6-foot artist alley displays, occasionally an 8-foot display, if there is space behind me, such as SAC Anime Impulse events, and so on, I do have this 8x8 backdrop, and it's not going to impede, because otherwise, right now I am clamping it with these clamps that I got from Amazon. I did want to use the clamps because I just was not feeling putting up the freaking backdrop poles. I could have done that, but I just wanted less things to do because this is already a very big display. I don't want to complicate it for myself, so clamping it is. It's a lot easier. I will say the only problem is that I'm very short. It was a struggle trying to clamp these on the walls because the walls are very tall. For example, I'm like 5 something. This is me compared to the rest of the wall. My little stool did not help me in this case, but just so you know, if you ever do TwitchCon. So for my 8x8 banner, it cost me $305, but that's also because it came with a stand. You could technically buy one off of Amazon, but I just wanted the pack. And for the 10x8 banner, it cost me $295. Do you need these? Probably not. I literally just invested in banners 4 to 5 years into cons. Obviously, there's more affordable options. I just really like this artist and I've worked with them in the past, so I went with them for printing the fabric backdrops and everything. If you want a more affordable option in this case, I've seen a lot of other artists use like really nice curtain or fabric. I've seen some people use tulle, especially if they have jewelry. It definitely looks a bit more dainty. Some artists, if they want a more dark background, they just have black fabric and it makes their art pop, which is why it might be better for them rather than having a white background or default white if you want some control over your backdrop, because some events do have backdrops like ALA, for example. Sometimes you might have a black or red backdrop, but then it might not work with your branding. So that's why some people might have brand colors for their backdrop. But in my case, I wanted the Mualcaina logo to basically yell at you. So in total, for my 10x10 Artist Alley booth, with all of these things, I paid, drum roll, did this price surprise you, or is it somewhere around what you thought it would cost? Let me know down below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So if you are curious on how much I spent for my Artist Alley display for a 6-foot table, tap here to watch that video. And if you want more Artist Alley and small business content, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!